and it's a micro simulation software. And then we have macro simulation software as well. And we have discussed the term micro simulation, macro simulation earlier as well. Micro simulation means that it is related to each individual vehicle. So in Vissim, you have the option to observe the movement of each vehicle. When the simulation will run, you can see each vehicle going from one side to the other side. You can, obviously, it requires advanced skills, but just to let you know that if you want to just know the speed of a specific vehicle out of the thousands of vehicles, you can do that. This is the purpose of micro simulation software. Okay, so let us do the video first.
So go ahead and type into Google PTV Vissim.
Okay, first of all, tell me, can you hear the sound? Yeah, can you hear the sound?
We can hear it.
Okay, okay, thank you. So I will be playing it on full screen, and in between I will be stopping it to share some points, share some tips, and so unless I stop it and I, reduce the or exit from the full screen, I will not be able to see your questions. Okay, keep it in mind. Or you can open the mic and ask on the mic.
Student version. Hit the top link. Scroll down and start entering your details. First, you'll pick the trial version you want. That's PTV Vissim, not Vissum. Then you'll enter your university and your email address. And scroll down and hit submit. On the next page, you'll be given a link to the download. Hit that and let the program finish downloading. Once the download is complete in Chrome, you can go ahead and open the exe.
Okay, one important point here, I guess most of you have already downloaded it and installed it, but I'll fulfill my duty. There are two softwares, actually more than two softwares, but one is Vissim, the other one is Visum. Okay, so you are using the first one with I. Okay, Vissim, Vism, not Visum. Visum cannot be used for micro simulation, and it will not give you level of service for individual segments. So you are using Vism, this one. Okay.
The file for the setup. Hit yes. Okay. I accept. I have read. Pick the location where you want to install it. Hit next. Go ahead and hit next again. All right, that's all fine. Select install and let the trial version install itself. The installation takes some time, but once it's completed, you can go ahead and hit finish, and on your desktop you will have the link to the program. So in this part, we'll have a look at the different things you can see on the screen, the different parts of the program. But before that, I just wanted to mention that during the installation, try not to change any of the default settings. If you do, you may run into some problems regarding code meter and the program licenses. So try not to change anything there. So moving on to the program we have in front of us, we can go ahead.
Okay, another important point here is the screen which you see. Okay, if you scroll down the screen, you will see the some options here, some details. But if you look at this thing, okay, so you can see the tutorial, okay, and then if you click on the help tab, you will again see PT Vism help and so on. These are PDF files basically, which are already saved on your system when you install the software. Okay, so if you feel that what he's explaining is not good, or you see something new in your version, okay, so just from this screen you go to the tutorial or examples, or you come to help and then you click on it, or you go to the folder in which P3 Vism is installed in your system, and in that folder you will find the PDF files. Okay, so in the PDF files, they have explained it in a very detailed manner with the screenshots and step-by-step procedure, and you can use that as well. And yeah, that's it. Okay.
Go ahead and open a new uh, project in the top left corner over there. And by default, the first thing you see is a map of the world. So what this map is used for is we will build our roads laid on top of an aerial view of the world. This will help us get the right angles, get the right curves without actually having to calculate or measure these things from the field. And on top of that, the map given in the program is already scaled perfectly, which means you don't need to upload your own backgrounds to the project. It makes things much simpler. On the left-hand side, you can see network objects. Now, what these network objects are the things that our road network, our system, will be built from. Links are going to be the base of everything, obviously. They're going to be the main roads that we have everywhere. On top of that, what we will be using are vehicle inputs, nodes, and possibly data collection points, depending on what we're doing later on. So on top of network objects, the other part that we'll be using are called lists. So in lists, you can open up anything that you've seen in network objects, for example, vehicle inputs, and you can define their attributes down here. We'll go further into detail as we go one by one into the network objects. For now, that's about it that you need to know in terms of the different panels you have. For moving around on the screen, if you're using a mouse, you can just press the middle button and that'll grab and hold the screen and you can pan around really easily. If you're not using a mouse and instead you're using a touchpad, for example, you can go up here and select shift mode. That'll allow us to do the exact same thing, easily panning around the screen. On top of that, you can change the view to 2D and 3D. You can rotate the view once you're in 3D view. Over here, you can change the type of map that you want. Now, for the actual drawing, we'll use aerial maps because that makes things much easier. But you may want to have a look at this partway through your project for whatever reason, so you can have a wireframe map as well. Besides that, you can change in network objects, you can change the various looks of the different objects, but we won't be dealing with that much because the defaults are perfectly fine. And up here, up top, you can see the play button for the simulation. You can see the different timings for the simulation. You can see simulation step by step. We'll go into all of these in detail, but it's good to know where they are for now. That's about all we need to know for now. In our next section, we'll be looking at how to actually draw the roads using links and the level of service of the. So in this next part, we're going to have a look at how exactly to build our roads using links. So because we want a single uninterrupted stretch of highway, I'm going to be starting from this point on the highway, going along and finishing off over here. So we will begin by zooming in on the end of the highway that we want to build. We're going to pick links from the table of network objects. You're going to right click on the center lane of the road and drag it in the direction of movement. So you just do that, you let go, and automatically this window will pop up where now you define the name of the road. So we'll take this as road number 1. We'll enter the name as west, east, and you're going to increase the number of lanes to 4. Now, because we have 3 main lanes and 1 shoulder lane. Now, the lane indices will count from the outermost lane to the innermost lane, meaning lane index 1 is going to be our shoulder lane. So we can go ahead and block all of the vehicles from entering the shoulder.
Okay, just 2 things. He said he will show it later on, but okay, first of all, he said lists. So this is a list option where you can see different things. Okay, so if you click on anything here, it will provide that list at the bottom. Okay, so if you click on simulation runs, it will show the list of simulation runs at the bottom. Okay, so this is the first thing. Secondly, he said he is going to show that window in the end, but let me show it right now. Where is our area now? Here. Okay, so obviously I'm not drawing the link here. I just want to tell you what the window looks like. So I'll just add a link here. Okay, you should draw as what he has shown in the window, what he has shown in the video, and do those things before you get to this. So you can see he's talking about this window. You put the name here. The type of road will remain as it is. Level base, no change. Then you have the number of lanes. You can change the number of lanes and you can see it increases, and the number of lanes are counted from the outside edge of the road. Okay, so the first lane is the outermost lane and the last lane is the innermost towards the median. Link length will be taken by the software once you draw it, so no need to change. Width can be changed. Okay, then you can allow the lane to have some lane changes or not. Okay, you can have it as a block lane. Okay, if you want. Obviously I've not drawn it, so it's not working. Okay, you can show if there's if there's an obstacle on this lane and so on and so forth. Okay, so you can create a blocked lane as well. With the obstacle you can create a block lane as well. Okay, so this was the window he is talking about.
Lane, because that will not be part of our simulation, and you can change it to obstacle, for example. So we'll put no lane changes, and that'll have blocked our shoulder lane from being used at all. Now, in the case of widths, you can measure these from Google Earth. I measured mine to be 3.5 meters for each road lane, and for the shoulder lane, it was only 3.2 meters. You can enter that over there and go ahead and hit OK. Now automatically your road is there 4 lanes, with the shoulder lane being a little bit smaller. And what we'll do now is we'll zoom out, you'll click on the road and you'll drag one end all the way to the end of where you need your road to reach. Now, if you look, the alignment is not exactly correct. So what we do is you'll right click, you'll click on the road first, you'll right click on points on the road to add bending points. So now using these points, we can just shift the road and align it perfectly. Just drag and hold and realign your road. Now we have one side of the road moving from west to east. We can just click on the road, hold down Control and right click, and go down the list, generate opposite direction. Now we have 4 lanes in the opposite direction as well, so that's perfectly fine. You just hit OK, and we have our opposite road. But we have not included a median, so you'll just drag this to realign it with the opposite side of the road, exactly where it's supposed to go. You can zoom in to make sure it's proper on both sides. It seems fine. The only thing left to do is to rename the other side of the road. So you're going to double click the link to again change its properties. You're going to go ahead and name it East West. And there we have our links. Here you can see the number of lanes, the name, the width, the blocked vehicles, the display type have all been changed as we did earlier. And on the second screenshot, you can see that the name has been changed. I will be changing my screen recorder to allow you guys to see the windows and the menus. In the next part, we will move on to adding vehicle inputs and vehicle compositions. So in this section, we're going to try getting vehicles to start driving along our roads for the simulation. So the first step in doing that is we need to first define the vehicle compositions. This means that what percentage of heavy vehicles, what percentage of buses, what percentage of cars will be driving along the roads. So to do that, you can go up to Lists, Private Transport, Vehicle Compositions. You'll get this pop-up down here in the under Lists, and the original one is called Default. You already have one set up over there, but we can make a new one, and we can call it our highway. Now, what we'll do here is we already have cars on this side. We can add 2 more. One of them can be heavy goods vehicles, and the other one can be buses. They'll turn up by default because it's 1, 2, and 3. Now, you need to then define the speed distribution. This comes from what the values are you measured on the road when you went in person. So let's say, for example, cars, I know the speed limit on this road is around 120 kilometers. So let's say cars are moving at an average speed of 100 kilometers per hour, with heavy goods vehicles moving at an average speed of 80 kilometers per hour and buses moving at an average speed of 85 kilometers per hour. Now, along with the speeds, you also need to define the relative flows.
Okay, first of all, the types of vehicles, you don't need to classify the buses separately. If you remember, we have not used buses separately in the calculation of level of service. So you will be using buses and recreational vehicles and trucks as a single class of traffic flow, and then the other one will be cars. So you will have only two types here: heavy goods vehicles, and heavy goods vehicles will include the buses and the recreational vehicles and trucks and all the heavy vehicles, and the other one will be cars. The other point is related to the speed. Now you have collected the data about spot speed for cars, okay, and you already found the mean spot speed in the second submission. So whatever value is close to that, you will use that as the speed of the car. Okay. For the heavy vehicles, I did not ask you to get the data of the heavy vehicle. So if the speed of the car is more than 70 kilometers per hour, then you put the speed of the car at 70 and the speed of heavy vehicle at 70. Oh, sorry, you put the speed of the car as what you got from the speed data, and the speed of the heavy vehicles will be 70. Okay. And if the speed of the car, the mean spot speed is less than 70 or equal to 70, then you can keep the speed of the heavy vehicles as the same. Okay, we'll just assume it's just an assumption. Otherwise, you should collect the data for heavy vehicles separately. But you didn't do it. I did not ask for it, so I will not put you under any extra burden. So just put the speed of the heavy vehicles as 70 or equal to the speed of the car, whichever is less. Okay, so speed of the car is more than 70, then speed of the heavy vehicle should not be uh, more than 70. Okay, then you put it at 70. Okay.
This means the number or the relative number of that sort of vehicle that are going to be input onto your road. So we'll start with cars. For example, from the road, you'll have taken the data of the number of heavy goods vehicles compared to the number of cars. So you'll have a certain percentage of heavy goods vehicles, a certain percentage of buses, or they can be combined. That's also fine because I think that's the data you'll be taking from the road. And you'll have a percentage of cars. So let's say that the percentage of heavy vehicles in total is 0.2. So you can divide that equally among heavy goods vehicles as 0.1 and 0.1. And the rest of the 0.8, which is 80% of the vehicles, are going to be cars. So that's done. We now have our highway as the vehicle composition, and we have exactly the speed and the relative flows of the different types of vehicles. So we can now move on to the next part, which is actually placing the vehicle inputs on the highway. So you'll go and select vehicle inputs from network objects, and you just have to right click on one side of the highway and right click on the other side of the highway. Both vehicle inputs will turn up automatically. The only thing left for you to do now is to go down here and change it to our highway, our highway. Along with that, you also now need to define the volume, because earlier all we defined were the relative volumes. So now we need to
Okay, one important point which I missed earlier actually regarding the median. Okay, so the median is not to be drawn. Okay, we just need to specify that there's a median. So like you mentioned in the video, if you just move the other side away from one direction away from the other direction, the software will take it as a median. Okay, and this is enough for level of service calculations. If you go back to the calculations which we have done in the class, we in those calculations we never specified the width of the median. We just specified whether there's a median or not, and this is enough. Okay, if you want to be more accurate, you can shift it, and there's the option to measure it. So once you shift one side, once you separate the two directions, you can measure the distance between them, and you can rearrange it to the exact dimension of the median. But median was necessary to be shown in the drawing of the segment, okay, as per your project requirement. In the software, the dimension is not important. Just separate the two directions. Whenever there is a separation between the two directions, software will take it as the median, and this is enough.
define the total volume. Now the total volume is another set of data that you're going to be taking from the road. If you hover over volume, you can see that it says number of vehicles per hour and not per time interval. That means that the data that you enter here needs to be the vehicles per hour, which is what we call the flow, or the rate of flow. So over here we can, for example, if the rate of flow on the west to east side of the highway was 1,000 cars per hour, 1,000 vehicles per hour, and the relative flow on the east to west side was 1,200 vehicles per hour. Now, if you go ahead and hit play on the simulation, hit save changes, you can see that vehicles have started moving along our road. Now, this simulation is obviously extremely sped up, so it's at a very high rate. Later on, we can look at how to change that to actually get a live simulation. Now we'll have a look at the different simulation parameters and how to change those and how to view the simulation in 3D and 2D. And then after that, we'll go on to using nodes and data collection points to actually determine the level of service, the speed of vehicles, to count the vehicles, all the data that you can actually take physically from the highway, we can now take from the simulation that we've made. So to run the simulation, you go up to the play button in the top bar up there, you hit play and you can see the simulation running. Obviously the simulation is sped up, so if you want to change certain parameters for the simulation, you can just hit stop, go up to simulation, hit parameters, and you can change the period of the simulation. So this is a 6-minute simulation, which is perfectly fine. You can change the resolution of the simulation, so if you want a higher resolution, you're going to hit more time steps per simulation second. You can change the seed if you want to play around with several different seeds with each different simulation just to get better values from the simulation. You can Also, one thing, if we want to make the simulation real-time one-to-one, you can just go hit, instead of maximum, you can hit factor, and number 1 is fine over there. So then you just go hit OK, hit play on the simulation, say yes to save the changes, and now you can see the cars are moving at real-time speed. Now this is not really useful in the case of actually hit, just go hit instead.
Okay. Uh, Important point here. You can see here the last option here, a break at any particular time of the simulation. Okay, so if you want the data for, let's say, 10 minutes, or you want what is exactly happening in the first 10 minutes and the last 10 minutes and so on and so forth, instead of just having the data for the entire hour, you can mention it here. Okay, the software will record the data for that interval for you separately. Secondly, he was talking about the seed, random seed. So we know the when the software will start the simulation, the software has to decide what type of vehicle will go first. Then the second one will be which type of vehicle, which, and obviously for a real time simulation, the speeds of the vehicles and types of the vehicles should be coming randomly. Okay, this is what happens in on the highway. Okay, so the random seed controls the randomness in the flow. Okay, so if you increase it, then there will be more randomness in the generation of the vehicles. If you decrease it, then the vehicles will be very close to each other and the speeds will be very close to each other. Okay, and seed basically refers to the first vehicle. Okay, which one will be the first vehicle which will enter, and the remaining will follow with some variation. So the first vehicle is important and the remaining will follow with some variation. This is the point about the seed. Okay, so this is basically telling the software how randomly you want the observations to be.
Now you can see the cars are moving at data, because you don't want to sit here for 6 minutes waiting. But if you want to view the road, if you want to create a recording to enter into your presentation, that sort of thing, you can move into 3D view, you can pan around, you can have a look at the cars. So this is really good for the actual presentation part of it, because it looks nice. That's about it. So then if you want to quickly end the simulation, you can hit this button over here called Quick Mode. It'll finish off the simulation, and any data collection points that we've created later will show the data immediately instead of having to wait through the entire simulation. So now let's actually have a look at how to do this whole data collection thing. So the two types of data collection we're going to be using are nodes and data collection points. So first, let's have a look at data collection points themselves. So you just go in Network Objects, click on Data Collection Points, zoom into somewhere in the middle of the road, and just right-click. The moment you right-click, you get the data collection points lists, but you can just add the rest of them at the same time. So 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. All right, so now we have 6 different data collection points in our lists down here. You can see them right there. Now these will not collect any data until you go to Evaluation, Configuration, go to Data Collections, and hit Collect Data. Now we'll also be using nodes later, so you can do the same thing for nodes, so that the road, basically the simulation, will be taking data for both nodes and data collection points. So you can hit OK. Let's also create our nodes. So what we do is you zoom out all the way, you click on nodes, you start by right-clicking and just moving along the edge of the highway. It'll create a sort of cordon, which you can take all the way around the highway. Doesn't matter, just the beginning and end are the parts that actually matter. So there, and you regular click the final point to complete the node. So let's call that LOS, because the node is what's going to actually give us the level of service. And you can hit OK. Now, to view results that you're getting from the highway, you can go to Lists, Results, Data Collection Results. You can also go again, Lists, Results, Node Results. So now we're going to be getting results for our data collection points and for our node. All right, so you can just then hit play on the simulation. This is in fast mode, so it's completing the simulation down here, and then you can have a look at. Now, data collection results, you'll notice that they've not appeared yet, but node results, we have them. So data collection results actually need one more step in between, in which you go to lists, and then you go to measurements, data collection measurements. You hit the add symbol. So we have 6 different lanes that we're doing it for, so you can do it, you can give a separate data collection point for each one, because we have all the separate data collection points. 5 and 6. And now if you go to, sorry, let's open that again. Results, data collection results. Put that back in there. Oops. Put that back in there. And now you can hit play on the simulation, and you'll see that we're getting, as the simulation proceeds, we're getting data in here. So you can see the number of vehicles. It's 1 person per vehicle, so you won't see much there, but you'll see the average speed, and you'll see the occupation rate of the highway, but that's fine. That's less important. The one that we're actually interested in are these node results. And in the node results, you see for each simulation run, you have the same level of service. So this is the level of service for the west to east part of the highway. This is the level of service for the east to west part of the highway. And you can directly take this level of service and enter it into your assignment, because that's all you need. Now, if you want to play around a bit and you want to test the volumes, for example, at which the level of service will change, you can go back to private transport inputs. You can change the volume, and as you change the volume to, for example, 7,000 vehicles per hour and 6,000 vehicles per hour, and you go again, hit play on the simulation, hit yes to save changes, and you'll see when our node results turn up for the 23rd simulation, just wait for it to complete. All right, the level of service is still A, but the vehicle delay, the delay per person, obviously the emissions have gone up, the number of vehicles have gone up. So again, if we put it up to, for example, 8,000 and 8,500 vehicles per hour, and you hit play on the simulations, then we'll look at our node results for simulation run number 24 now. You can wait for them to turn up. See, the level of service has already fallen as the simulation is proceeding. And now you can see that our level of service has fallen to level of service C and level of service B for the west to east and east to west highways. You can also see that there is some amount of stoppage on the road. So such things, and you can just look through, keep changing the values, whatever values you need to input from the road, you put them there, and you can have a look at the level of service that's turning up. Same thing for the data collection results. You can.
Okay, few important points. The first thing is regarding the things which you need to percentage by to y. Yeah. What did you do with the 2 percentages? Huh? What I'm asking, what did you do with the 2 percentages? Did you use it in the calculations? No. Okay, you have not used in the calculation, right? Manual calculations were manual. I'm talking about the manual calculations. Okay, when you did the manual calculation, you took them as one type, right? You only did it for the software. Okay, so no problem. Just go in the software and change the percentage of heavy vehicles and delete bus. Run it again. No problem, right? Everything is there. Just the file, open the same file, delete the bus, and just add the percentage with heavy vehicles. Okay. Secondly, he was mentioning about the recording and the simulation. So the presentation will be live. Okay, you will be giving the presentation in the class, so you don't have to record anything. But whether you want to show me the presentation, or sorry, whether you want to show me the recording or don't show me the recording, you want to show me the simulation or you don't want to show me the simulation, in both cases, have the software ready at the time of presentation. I may ask you to open the software and show me something. Okay, so the software should be ready with at least one of the group members. All of you don't have to open it. Whoever is ready should have the software in the background at the time of the presentation. I may ask you to open and show it to me. Secondly, data collection points are not required. You can do the analysis without them, no problem. Only the node results are required. This is what he said in the video as well. Thirdly, volumes. Okay, he made a mistake in the video. He was calling volume as a flow rate. Okay, so when you insert the volume, you already have the volume for a full hour. So you don't need to calculate the flow rate. You don't need to do anything. Just the total volume of each direction will be put as it is. Okay, where you are inserting the volume after you define the percentage of vehicles. When you insert the volume, just put the total volume as it is for each direction. Don't need to calculate the flow rate because we have already discussed flow rate is something different, volume is something different. So you already have the volume. Just put the volume as it is. Okay, not the flow rate. If you have taken data for more than 1 hour, then you have to pick which one is the peak volume. Okay, and then you put that value, and that's it. Okay, so no need for the flow rate, just the volume. Now he has run the simulation many times just to explain his points in the video, but you will only include the last simulation. The final simulation will give you the level of service. Okay, don't have to include all the simulations which you have run. Even if you have run that, I only need the final results. Okay, and like I said, a data collection points not required, so I only need the node results. Okay, and even within the node results, he showed you that the results are shown for each direction and then the highway. Okay, so these are the three things, the three rows from the table which I need. Okay, so you don't have to copy the whole node results table. Just copy the two directions, and the below the two direction you will see the final or the combined result of the highway. Okay, you just copy them and you include them in the report. Okay, from the inputs, so this is about the output, right? From the input, I want to see the number of lanes and the lane width and these things. You can add the screenshots. Okay, or if you go to the results, maybe you can, or if you go to the link, you may see if you right click on it, you may see the option to generate the table for the links as well, or you go to the results and you can see the results for, or you just right click on the node, you will see the table for the link dimensions and everything. Okay, so I want to see the link properties, number of lanes and shoulder and all these things, width and all these things, and I want to see the volumes and their proportions. Okay, the total volume and their proportion of heavy vehicles and so on. So this is I want to see in the report from the software. Okay, that we put these values and this is a table or this is a screenshot from the software. Okay, so the software results can be put as a screenshot or you can put it as the table. Okay, copy the table and put it whichever is more convenient. Okay, the report should be professional. Professional reports has title page, it has table of content, it has an introduction, it has a conclusion. Okay, and don't just put copy and paste tables and figures without any explanation. When you put a table or a figure, there should be some explanation about it, there should be some discussion about it, and so on and so forth. Okay, so if you just put 10 and 12 pictures or tables and you don't write anything about it, this is useless, this is unprofessional. And secondly, the thing which people miss most of the time is writing the methodology of their calculations or writing the methodology of their data collection. So if you collected speed data, how did you do it? Okay, many of you have mentioned in the second submission. Okay, and for the third submission, you have used the software, you have collected volume. So how did you do all these things? Okay, I need some explanation. Okay, not to write like 50 pages on it, but at least one paragraph. Okay, one or two paragraphs to show how you have done things. Okay, so methodology of doing things. Okay, how you have collected volume, at what time, how did you select time, some explanation should be given, how did you use the software and so on. Okay, so these things should be there in the report. Okay, and like I said, at the time of presentation, have the software ready, and at the back end, what else? Yeah, if somebody wants to give a presentation on Sunday, just let me know. Okay, we can start on Sunday as well if you guys are prepared, because I announced it for Monday, so I will not force you to start on Sunday. But if you want to do it yourself, just let me know. We can arrange it. Now, any questions?
Doctor, can you please summarize and write the requirements from Vissim for us? I think it will be better. Can you please summarize and write the requirements from the Vissim? Which you want in the report, yeah, the requirement for the report.
Requirements for the PowerPoint presentation, you mean?
No, Doctor, for the presentation you told us that we should keep Vissim on. I mean for the report, what should we include from the Vissim program? Can you summarize the point for us and write it for us? I think.
So you need to incorporate, you need to show me the link properties, number of lanes, lane width. If you have a shoulder, then the shoulder width and these things. Okay, like he was showing the window, I showed you the window as well. You can put a screenshot, or if you can generate a table, you can copy and paste a table in your Word file. Okay, so the link properties. Okay, secondly, volume and the distribution of the volume. Okay, the number of vehicles and the distribution of the vehicles, how many cars and how many, like the relative flow for cars and heavy vehicles. And so this is the inputs, two inputs. Okay, link properties and volume properties. And third, the output is the node results, the final node results. Okay, and node results including level of service, most importantly. Okay, if you want to shorten the table, you can do it, but level of service should be there, direction should be mentioned. And like I said, node results basically has 3 rows, one for each direction, one row for each direction, so 2 rows for that. And after the results for both directions, you will see the final result for the complete highway. So these 3 rows from the node results tab. Okay, so these are the things.
Okay, Peter, thank you very much.
Okay, any other question?
Yeah, Doctor, last time I told you about the presentation that I have two colleagues with me from the different section. So I'm trying to organize the structure for the presentation, but you told me last time that they can do their part in their section and my part in this section. However, it's going to be a bit awkward in the presentation because it's not going to be smooth. So I was hoping maybe they can do one presentation in their section, and then I'll do one here in this section, but the parts that they spoke about, I'll try and speed through it so I save time.
Yeah, actually, I didn't want to force you because I want to have a live presentation, and then in that case, I didn't want to force you to do the complete presentation. Okay, but this is, you are right. Okay, I would prefer that, but I did not want to say it myself. So
no,
thank
okay.
you.
I can do it myself, yeah. But I'll try and speed through what they did so I can save time. What's the time limitation for each group for the presentation?
Okay, 15 minutes.
Okay.
15 is maximum. Okay, try to.
What's your ideal time?
Before,
what's the ideal time? Would you say?
10 minutes.
Okay, no problem. I'll manage. Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah. Any other question? Okay, then. Have a nice weekend. See you guys next week, inshallah. And wish you all the best for all the courses and the exams. I think there's some new announcement regarding the exams as well. I have to check it myself. It's in the group. But whatever it is, I hope and wish you all the best. Okay. Thank you.
This is the last lecture.
Now we will have presentation, and I will see. Yeah, we will have a lecture on Sunday as well. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you very much, Dr.
Assalamu alaikum.